It's time to whip off that bra, pour a glass of your favorite wine, and join us for this week's Drinks at Six podcast. Good evening, Monica.
Good evening, Jacqueline. Jacqueline?
Yes?
I love you.
I know, thank
Marie.
you. Why?
That dinner tonight was so good.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm gonna put it out to the world there, because I think you may be the only one who's never heard of the infamous female bacon sandwiches at St. Lawrence Market. I think it's a Carousel
I can't
Bakery.
believe it because I love back bacon. Female bacon is...
Okay, you know that Emerald goes there, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Drake, they all, like, their pictures are up there. They love the sandwiches. Fresh white bread.
Did you just say sandwiches?
I said no, that was the wine talking. I said sandwiches.
Sandwich.
Which
Oh, so good.
They're so good.
You know what I love?
What?
Please don't be grossed out.
I
know
will
we
be
talked about
grossed.
head cheese.
What?
But anyways, I
Ugh.
love the fat around the pea meal. Like when you crunch into the fat.
With the cornmeal on it?
Oh.
It is. Isn't it good?
It's so
Seriously.
good. Sorry to my piggy loving friend.
Well, no, I don't care. This is a bacon loving podcast. I know, it was so good.
Oh, it's
I
so
mean,
good.
I can't forget the day that we did the bacon wrapped jalapeno poppers. Those were delicious.
They were.
But I don't know,
But
sometimes you just
something
need some
about the
back
pea
bacon.
meal, and guess what? Weight Watchers friends, pea meal bacon is low in points. So
Is it?
eat up.
Is it really?
Yeah.
If you don't eat, do you have to trim the fat around it?
I don't.
Okay. I think you might have made an addendum to the point system. Might not. Weight Watcher friends.
They don't specify.
Maybe you want to check online without getting addicted to being online to technology. But if you better be careful.
Yeah.
Monica's Weight Watchers advice. I don't know if the fat part is like actually with cornmeal.
Oh,
You might-
but cornmeal has no points, does it?
I don't know. I don't do points.
I don't do points.
I don't even have a scale. I'm so afraid.
Oh God.
Okay, well then that will be our podcast dinner maybe the next few days because I now have an
Please?
excuse to go get it. The bun part, just so you know, may not rank high.
That's a little high in the points, but
yeah,
the bacon.
pretty good, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Anyway, I had to. Sorry, I bought them and they've been sitting there and they still taste good. So.
Oh, they taste fantastic.
Yeah.
Jack, do you ever like bite into a pea meal bacon sandwich and you just feel so proud to be Canadian?
Well, when my eyes stop rolling back in my head, then yes.
My eyes actually start watering.
And
I'm
like
so happy.
honey mustard. I hope you don't mind. I did honey mustard.
I
but
love honey mustard.
I kind of feel like those need honey mustard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, a little sweet.
Best.
You know what
in
would have
the
been good in there? An
What?
egg over easy, eh?
Ugh. No, I don't like runny eggs. No,
You don't?
No.
You don't do egg over easy?
No. I don't like the yolk.
You need scrambled.
I do need scrambled. It's a texture thing. I just don't like.
Okay.
Ugh. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it because we
Okay.
already talked about head cheese last week, and I almost threw up. So, anyway,
Okay.
so I want to talk to you about an email that we got from one of our listeners who was talking about how she works in a mean girl environment. And she just, wanted us to kind of chat about the mean girl thing. And I found that interesting because just before I got that email through the Drinks at Six podcast, I had seen an article. I found it on Twitter, and it was Fortune magazine talking about employees who had exited Rent the Runway in New York. Do you
Okay.
know Rent the Runway?
Yeah.
It's a cool service, but anyway, so these employees had exited. The company had gone through fast growth, and the employees that left cited it as a mean girl environment. And some of the examples are just exactly what you would expect. I mean, if anyone saw, and who didn't, except for you, see the Mean Girl movie. Like, seriously.
What the heck?
That
I
should
have to
be your
watch-
homework.
Okay, I'm on it. But then it'll be irrelevant now that we're talking about it. We talk
Well-
about it again? It'll come up again.
It will always come up. Tina Fey will always come up. But no, so the idea of girls forming cliques and being exclusionary, being condescending, and being bossy, being mean,
Yes.
just being mean. And I've worked in work environments like that where there's there's been a group of girls who feel like they're the it crowd. They're still stuck in the high school days where there's, the cool girls clan. Mm-hmm. It doesn't belong in the workplace. And the problem is that whether they're high performers at their work or whether in some industries, like I hate to say it, a lot of people are kept in positions that they're not even qualified for based on looks, because sometimes it's an image industry. So whatever the reason, they're not punished, they're rewarded, and they are encouraged to thrive within that culture. And all they do is break down internal culture, and then you have a mass exodus. And I don't think that companies understand how bad that is for their cultural image, because people don't want to work somewhere where people feel that the environment is toxic. Mm-hmm. And where poor behavior is rewarded.
That's right.
So I thought it was interesting when we got that email, because I just read the Fortune's article on it, and I'll share the article online. And but yeah, I wanted to I just find it disturbing that after a certain age, that women fall into that mean girl trap.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever worked anywhere? Or even, like, high school? Like, have you been in that?
Yeah, you know what? I remember it in public school.
Yeah.
And I remember it in high school. And in those days, it was kind of like poor kids versus rich kids, right?
Yeah.
So the mean girls always tended to be what we saw as the rich kids. And it was tough because you just didn't know what to do. You felt like inferior to them. I would have to say it affected me more in public school.
Oh, okay.
And then once I got to high school, those girls were there, but I found more people that were like me, like middle class kids. It was like the early to mid 80s when I was in high school, and there was a whole scene happening there too. So alongside with, upper class versus middle class or whatever, you also had, like, at that particular time, people started coming out, and I had friends that were gay.
Right.
And that, I feel like, was something that really started happening in the 80s. So I saw those people getting picked on by mean girls and mean guys.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the thing is, boys are mean too. It's just, it's bullyish, and when women do it, it almost feels manipulative to the core, like,
why
like it's held
we're supposed
on
to be sisters here, like, why are you doing
boys
this?
Sort of like bully and fight, and it's over with, whereas women, it seems to be an underlying vibe, that creates this horrible
for
fear.
Sure. I know. Isn't it? It's so wild how this happens, and you wonder, like, when you're younger and you see it in public school and in high school, you would assume that they're just learning this from their parents, right?
Yeah.
But I have to say, a lot of those girls that were the mean girls in high school are some of the nicest women I know now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. They've changed so much, and I've changed too. So,
well, I think the thing too is, okay, so I have a situation like that. I had a situation in grade 8 and 9 and 10 where two girls bullied me all the time, and they were known bullies. It wasn't just me. I mean, they were mean girls, but they were physical. And
they were physical?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one girl, I defended one of the girls in our school. She was at the time, maybe a little bit gawky and whatever. She's grown into, of course, a beautiful, intelligent woman. Anyway, she was being picked on in our gym, locker room after gym, and this girl threw powder in her face. And no one wanted to help her because they were afraid of the girl. And I was afraid of the girl, but she was already bullying the crap out of me, so I was going to get bullied anyway, so I had nothing to lose. So I pushed her away, and I think I called her a bully, and then I got my lumps for that.
Wow.
Anyway, about a year or two ago, I was writing an article on bullying, which I never finished, and Facebook is a lovely thing sometimes. You can track down your sources. So I emailed both girls, and I said, did you know that you were identified as bullies by several of your peers in high school? And I'm writing an article. Would you be willing to talk to me? One girl The big one.
Whoa, that's pretty bold of you.
Yeah, it was. I'm not
When did you do that?
Like 2 years ago, I think.
Whoa, Jacqueline.
So the one girl who is infamous told me to F off, blocked me from Facebook, told me that she was never a bully, and basically I made it up. And I found out later from other friends that her family had transferred. Her parents, their marriage was broken up. I don't think she had a great upbringing, and they transferred schools a few times because she herself was bullied. So it was definitely learned behavior from her.
Okay.
And I felt really bad hearing that, but it wasn't worth going back to the well twice. Like, I didn't want to add insult to injury by reminding her of her past. But the other girl ended up by becoming a friend of mine on Facebook, and she didn't realize that her behavior was bullyish. She definitely wasn't the worst of the two girls. And we talked about it a lot on Facebook, and she's got a daughter, not much older than mine. And, of course, so we talked about the importance of teaching our girls not to be like that, but protecting them from girls who are. And, you know, how as parents now we can see how horrible and damaging that is. And we ended up by, you know, having a really great open discussion about it. But bullies are usually bullied. I mean, that kind of tough girl behavior in high school is insecurity, it's fear, it's all the things we go through in those years where, you know, we're self-conscious. We need gangs, we need tribes to protect us, right?
Right.
But in the workforce, I'm sorry, grow up. Like, I recently worked with a girl, oh my God, she sent these, like, ridiculously asinine emails, like, very immature. Like, she was in a management position, and she was very unprofessional as a manager. She wasn't a people motivator. She was a fear monger, and that's how she got people to respect what she wanted them to do. But no one respected her. And you just want to, like, shake her and say, you might be getting your way. You can sit in meetings and be a bitch, but no one respects you. And that makes you suck at what you do. Your job is, in this industry that we work in, communications, advertising, marketing, PR, your job is very much a relationship job.
Right.
If you don't have good relationships with people, you are not going to get people to pull you favors at midnight when a campaign is due last minute, revisions need to be done, you know, you're going over budget and you need some client empathy. You're not going to get any of that if you're a bitch.
Right.
So the mean girl thing doesn't work, but it is really upsetting to see. It thrives in some industries. Right. I would assume the fashion industry is a big advocator of that.
Yeah, and you know, I'm trying to think of how, if I've had any direct experience with that because I worked in the corporate world for 18 years. The company I worked for was pretty male dominated, so I saw a little bit of it, but I didn't really. I can't say I have a ton of experience with it, but I just want to comment to that, like the example that you're giving of the woman that you worked with. To me, it's almost like a trust thing, you know. I feel like, I mean, I'm not a mean girl, but I also, I know when you're under pressure to bring in revenue and pay for certain things and make sure everything's happening, and you know, when you have those pressures on you, you can be very, very sweet and wonderful to the people on the outside that are buttering your bread. Yeah. But with your internal people, I think that happens sometimes because women or whoever, men, they feel like, oh my God, I got to get this revenue. I got to close this deal. I got to get this contract. I have targets I have to meet, and all of you are going to do exactly what I say, and I don't care how it gets done. They're not thinking about, you know what? I'm out there getting the business because I'm letting it happen and I'm putting on a good face and people trust me. They're not bringing that back internally. So what they're doing is like they're bullying and they're managing by intimidation inside so that they can get the results they want from the outside. And that's a horrible way to be. And I always admire people. You know, like I look at Richard Branson, that beautiful post you put on my Facebook that was last month. But, you know, just about that employee culture, like your employees come first, you know, you trust them, everything else will fall into place. that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, because
I can imagine.
they feel like that's the one thing they can control. You work for me, I pay you, you're going to do what I say because I need this and we need this and you better do it my way. You know, and even this, for me, like this was the first year where leading up to the One of a Kind show, I always feel like we gotta get this many pieces done, and I want these kind of colors, and I want this and this and this and this. And this year I let go with my staff. I was like, you know what? You guys figure it out. We've been doing this for 12 years. You know what the pressure is that we're under when that show starts. You know what we need. Do it. And they did it better than they ever have.
Because you gave them the trust and independence.
Yeah, not that I bullied them before, but I can see why that happens.
Right.
I can totally see why the mean girl and the mean boy comes out.
I think what you're talking about, though, is a little more like you have to get specific jobs done in order to meet a specific deadline, right? Mm-hmm. Mean girls I'm talking about write damaging emails to belittle you in front of a group of people.
Right.
You're just a lowly this, and remind everyone around you.
Yeah.
Because they're mean people. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not being aggressive because they need to meet a deadline. They're being bullyish and they're being immature.
Right.
And
is it like a hierarchy thing? Like they're trying to establish that, okay, no, you remember what your place is, because I'm way up here and you're way down here.
It very much feels like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that it is for sure, it really, it feels like they're putting you in their place because they're putting you in your place, or the place they want you to be in, because they're very insecure about the place that they're in. But instead of promoting, like opening up or being collaborative, they have to own everything because that's how they control it, and they don't feel like they have control.
Right.
So when people don't have control, they feel fearful and fearless. It's anger, so they act like angry, mean people. Mm-hmm. But it is disturbing to see, it is happening still. Mm-hmm. The girl power thing, only for some women. I think only for elevated women who are confident and really get that working together is the best way to make yourself look better and your team work more cohesively and more productively to achieve results and success. Those are the people who understand sort of the girl power culture.
Yeah.
The people that want to take the glory for themselves because they're so insecure about, their qualifications, their skills, or even being liked, they're the ones who act like the mean girls. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting because when I think about when I was in my corporate job, I remember seeing that with a couple of really powerful women that had, worked there for 18 years, done their time, and now they've got like really important positions in the company, and they had no, this is a different kind of mean again, but no tolerance for people that didn't work to their expectation. They came from a place where they came into the job at like entry-level position, worked their way up, worked really, really hard.
Yeah.
Were ridiculed because, what do you mean you can do this when you just came from this? And they fought through it and they got to these like great positions. And then they had like people underneath them with university education and all these credentials, but they showed up late for meetings. They didn't take notes. Friggin' whatever. Like
they acted aloof compared to them.
And those women, whether that was right or wrong, they would point them out in a meeting. Why are you late for this meeting? What do you think you're doing? Do you know how disrespectful this is? And embarrass them in front of the whole team.
Oh, shaming culture.
Yeah, and you think like, okay, well, that's not, maybe take that person aside. But I'll tell you, those people are never late for another meeting. I don't know if that's, it's not a nice way to be.
I feel like,
but I could I could understand where that person's coming from. It's like,
I feel like, I totally know what you're saying. I don't agree with the shaming tactics, but I feel like they truly believed, like, this is a work environment, you're being paid, you show up on time. Show respect for other people's time. I don't disagree with that. Yeah. I think for me, Mean Girls is more irrational and unjustified behavior. Yeah. Right? Like in the high school or the grade 8 playground, there's no reason to behave like a bully.
No.
You're just being mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's the culture. Like when you read the Fortune article, like these are grown women, and they're looking down their noses. They're being condescending. They're excluding women from their little cliques. They're being critical. They're being damning. Like, that's mean girl stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you want to be a manager, you don't shame somebody. You don't treat them like garbage. You help to nurture them.
You coach them.
But these women can't be coaches because they don't have that kind of confidence. Or maybe they just aren't qualified in their position and they know it, so they don't want to impart that wisdom because they don't have wisdom to impart.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Whatever the reason is, it is a... I mean, the mean girl thing, every time I see a girl acting like that, I know it's just a massive host of insecurity.
Oh, yeah,
and when you're dealing with that crap, like, you can't win. That person needs help, and you can't fix it from the outside, right?
No.
But you also can't win them over, and why bother? Because they want to be mean. They feel like it's the only way that they have power. So, anyway, you talked about, these women at Canada Post being in a male-dominated industry. I want to go to our next topic about that because I have a topic today that's interesting to me. It's called womenomics. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of womenomics?
No, have not.
Okay, so it's...
Enlighten me.
I will enlighten you, but it is a tricky topic because, I just read about it recently, and so I haven't read the book yet. There is a book called Womenomics, and actually, the coin was termed. How do you like that? That's womenomics. The term was coined by Kathy Matsui. She is the chief equity strategist at Goldman Sachs in Japan.
Okay.
And anyway, so she
coined the
term. Why is that so hard?
It is. Say it fast. 20
but anyway, there was a follow-up book called Womenomics, Write Your Own Rules for Success. It's written by ABC News and Good Morning America's senior national correspondent Claire Shipman and BBC World News America Washington correspondent Katie Kay. And they published it in 2009. So the book has been around for a while. Just a little bit of background on the book. It says this is the book that gets to the heart of what professional women want. You've probably been loath to admit it, but like most of us, you've had enough of the 60-hour work weeks, the daycare dash, and the vacations that never get taken. You don't want to quit. You want to work, but on your own terms and in ways that make it possible for you to have a life as well. Yeah. How does that happen, right? Because when you're a woman in the workforce and you have children or like any responsibility at home whatsoever, it could be your pets, your children, you feel like that makes you not as qualified to be in that position as somebody else. So the book, which I would like to pick up, and I just ordered it on Amazon, so we should follow up after I get a read of it, and I'll pass it on to you. It talks about women actually having power, but it provides according to the notes, because I haven't read it, provides a fresh perspective on the largely hidden power that women have in the marketplace. So basically, if you look at companies with a not female-dominated workforce, but largely populated by women, the more women managers that they have, the more profitable they are. And women do more of the buying, which is kind of like at home too, right? So they talked about this talent shortage that's looming, and younger generations want to work flexibly, but they know that if I'm going to be a mother or a wife or whatever, I'm not going to have that opportunity. So it's created this sort of workplace revolution. Anyway, so I guess through the book and through the movement Womenomics, they are trying to get companies to recognize that they need to be more flexible when they're offering employees the ability to manage and balance their careers and their lives. Right? It can't just be this stringent way of doing things. There's got to be more opportunity for flexibility, more fluidity. And it would help improve productivity and employee morale. So, I mean, in theory, obviously that makes a great deal of sense. So this would be, if you think about it, a historic shift, because it's never really been positioned this way, and we don't look at opportunity for us in the workforce that way. This is why right now I prefer to be freelance. I can work my butt off, but I can still pick up my daughter, get stuff done. Mm-hmm. You know, if I could be sitting in an agency all day with nothing to do, but I can't do anything else when I'm doing nothing there. So there's no flexibility for that. I have to leave at 5 to get my daughter. I know that's not looked at kindly. Even though I come home, get her ready, get her to bed, and then continue working all night. It's still not the same. It's not perceived as an equal balance with the people who are staying bums in seats till 8 o'clock at night.
That's right. We should post our friend Julie Cole's interview from Mabel's Labels with their flex hour. That was such a good interview. Like, they're all about that.
Yeah, and I mean, she's just been on that panel of top 100 employers in the U.S. She spoke on an podium with Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, I'll definitely post Julie's interview on that and the flex hours and how that's helped to really improve morale and increase productivity, especially in an industry like ours where her product is, you know, a product, not a service. So, so it's interesting to know that, you know, this is going on. That this is a concept, and you know, the two authors of the book see this as an upcoming paradigm shift in the way that, well, both individuals and companies approach work and work-life balance, and value women more in the workplace. So what was interesting about that is I then read an article, and I just have to find it here, in the Wall Street Journal, and I'll post the article. But in Japan, this womenomics concept is taking off. And according to, they have an advocacy group called Catalyst, women held 3.1% of board seats at leading Japanese companies compared with 19.2% in the U.S. and 20.8% in Canada. And last year, Goldman Sachs estimated that closing the gender employment gap in Japan could lift the country's gross domestic product by nearly 13%. So right now, 66% of Japanese women aged 15 to 64 work outside of the home. Which is higher than the average in developed countries, according the source for this is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So the government has put pressure on companies to hire more women and promote them to management to help with the shift. And this is in an effort to revive their economy, which has been hobbled by their shrinking population for the last little while.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that they've embraced it and that they're noticing market results.
Yeah.
And that'll be inspiration for other countries and other big corporations and businesses, I hope. But by encouraging that equal treatment of women in the workforce, in Japan, they're hoping to lift their growth in the world's third largest economy. So putting women into a critical plan to grow the economy is really, it's an investment. It shows belief and trust, right?
That's right. You know, I just want to interject with a couple of friends that have had, 2 or more kids, and they've decided to be stay-at-home moms. And I've had this conversation a few times where they've said, all I've done, I don't even know what I'm going to do now that my kids are older. All I've done is stayed home with these kids. How am I going to, get a job in the workforce? And I said, you know what? If I had the money, I would hire you as the CEO of my company. If I had, a budget to, that, pay you $150,000 a year. Because a mother managing children in a household, full-time, all the time, you know everything budgets, you need to know about running a business right there.
Yes, you do.
You could teach it.
Yeah.
So
it is a business.
It is a business, and it's, you've got to keep a flow. You need to be on time. You got to get up at a certain time. You got to get kids to school at a certain time. You got to plan all these meals. You got to, your husband's coming home at this time. Then you got to, talk about the budget. It's all right there. Sometimes I think women that have stayed home in this generation, they underestimate their power.
Yeah.
I think any woman that goes out there and with a resume and has stayed home with children for their last 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
That's what the resume should be all about. Not about the job they had in 1995 when they, before they had their first kid.
Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, but it's scary to go out there and think, well, I know nothing or nothing current, and how will I balance?
That can all be learned.
It can all be learned, but it's that sort of, that, false obstacle, that fear,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
And for companies to do this, there's a great reason to get behind this. I mean,
Yeah.
when they talked about what the benefits are, like benefits of having women more involved at more senior levels in the workforce.
Yeah.
I mean, forget the benefits to us as women, but one of the benefits, they say that women's work may be the single most important factor in reducing poverty in developing economies. Like women's work, the kind of work that we can do.
Yeah.
So, second thing they mentioned is that with gender equality has a positive correlation with the per capita GDP. So that is according to the World Economic Forum 2014 Global Gender Gap Report. So I haven't read that report, but basically they're estimating that raising women's workforce participation to the same level as men's
Okay.
could raise per capita GDP in the U.S. by 5%.
Holy. That's
So
huge.
they also mentioned that a diverse workforce obviously can improve a company's bottom line because having different market insights and viewpoints, enabling better problem solving and superior performance. Obviously, when you have two different genders weighing in, you're going to get those two different viewpoints. You're going to look at a problem in different ways. You're going to approach it from different ways. You're going to have different opportunities and solutions, right? So I thought that was like a pretty strong point.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like they've also connected gender diversity in executive teams to company earnings.
Yeah.
And they say, I'll read this one, it's believed that the benefits are cumulative in that they improve the living standards of the next generation of women, which seems obvious, right? This is because women are more likely than men to make purchasing decisions to improve their family's welfare or to invest in the education of their children, giving them greater opportunities in the future. So
that's fantastic.
I thought that was a great, like I've read a few different things, Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post. The book itself I haven't read. It's amazing. They talk about summits and conferences, women's conferences, this and gender equality in the workforce, and I truly do support this whole womenomics thing. I love the idea. I can't believe I wasn't really aware of it until about a month ago. But the only thing that stands out for me is we're working hard for gender equality, and in the workforce and on all levels.
Yeah.
But we're still defining it as an equation, like we're not equal yet. And every time we have like a women's conference, we're highlighting and profiling specific support for a gender over another, right?
Yes.
So it's and when we have achieved true equality, I'm wondering, are we going to talk about like an employee conference or a mankind conference? Because it's going to be a women's conference. Like, are we still insecure, and for a reason we should be, like, not insecure, but we should, value the fact that we're working hard, but we're still not equal. But, we use terms like fempreneur and mompreneur and women's this and whatever. You don't hear men saying manpreneur or dadpreneur. Like, we still attach the word women to everything in a sense of empowerment. Hey, we're women and we're doing this. I think we have to have that silent confidence that we're doing this and we're entrepreneurs or we're business owners or we're, I think attaching that feminine title to everything just reminds everyone that we're still a different gender and we're still not equal.
We're putting attention on the wrong thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
but it's our podcast, I can say it.
I know, and exactly. And I kind of feel that way as we're talking about it now. Like, like, why is this a woman thing?
Yeah.
But, I know, who knows, it's a fine line because, you're talking about women that are changing the future. There's all these new ideas and new things that are happening because of women. Yeah, we want credit for that.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
But,
for sure.
Right? And then, okay, I found something here that I want to post about a pretty powerful woman. Her name is Leela Jinnah, and she's fighting global poverty through technology. And it was the last Marie Forleo episode. She was interviewed.
Okay.
And I think it would just be an interesting. I think it would be interesting on many levels to post that, because even our last podcast topic and talking about technology, there's so much good that can be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
And to see how, people can come together and take, it's sort of on topic, but, take communities and give them clean water because everybody donated 50 cents.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff, and those are the kind of things like you're talking about. These are the kind of things that women are doing that are an investment to a better world. It's not about creating a thing where we make lots of money off of it, and we it's for humanity.
But it's not just if you think about it, right? Like womenomics. So you would create a more flexible work environment where women can be caregivers and CEOs, or they don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be C-suite level job. It's just create a more flexible work environment. Well, if you do that, you create a more flexible work environment for everybody, right? No gender.
Yeah,
everyone. So
that's
the benefit is to everyone. And I agree. You make a good point. We do want to be given credit for some of the things that we've done as women, and I get that. And that is part of where we are now, to achieve the status that we're equal, we kind of still have to prove it, and we need to prove it by highlighting and profiling those accomplishments. I get that. But the other side of the coin is that, the best career advice I ever got was, if you dress for the role you want, not for the role you have. So shouldn't we be doing that sort of same thing in the work environment? However, I do know that the reality is, no, we still need to fight that belief, that we're not equal in a man's world, and we still have to chip away at that perception to get us to that place. And I get it, but I guess
So what do you think about, okay, maybe this is a little obscure or whatever, but you think about what's been going on for the last 100 years, and typically people work an 8-hour day, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And then you have, but I didn't get this and this and this done. That's my failure. Now I got to work at home as well as being in an office 8 hours a day. So I'm going to come home after 8 hours. I'm going to put my child to bed, and then I got to get back on my laptop to finish what I didn't finish in the day, because tomorrow's going to be another. And this just keeps going and going and going, right? Mm-hmm. So then you think about somebody like this Leela woman that has this grand idea that if she puts something out to the world and says, hey, you know what? There are people suffering. There's poverty. We need help. We have a company that can help. We want to collect X amount from, I don't know what her business model is, but let's say I want to collect $1 from 1 billion people, and I want to take 75 cents of that dollar and give it to poverty, and the other 25 cents will cover my business expenses and give me a little bit of profit, whatever. That is an idea that is so powerful that maybe doesn't take 8 hours of all day and then another 10 hours of work. Like when are we going to change? And I think that's what women do because of their role of I got to get my kids fed, I got to get this, I got to do this. So they figure out things. We joke around about multitasking, but women actually figure out a way to get what needs to get done in a very short period of time. So forget all the extra crap. Let's just get it done, because we only have so much time, right?
Yeah.
And if somehow in the workforce it could be like that, like if I could come to work and say, it's going to take me 2 hours to create the most powerful idea for this company that's not only going to make the company profitable, but it's going to give back to others. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my day riding my bike, spending time with my husband, playing with the dog, because that's what makes me feel good, and that's what gives me power to come up with ideas that will change the world.
Creative ideas.
Do I believe that? I need to keep telling myself I believe it. Because right now, I believe in the 8 to 12 hour day. I really, honestly, in my gut, right now, in this moment, don't believe that I can achieve what I need to achieve unless I work those hours.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's a conditioning.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. And it is conditioning, but like I said, like if we can convince corporations and society that we don't need that structural 8-hour day, I mean, if we could be more flexible with how we approach...
We need great ideas.
Yeah, I mean, there are jobs, I understand that, are 9 to 5, and stuff needs to happen during the business week, during those business hours. I get that. But there is a lot of space for improvement. You know, this model is old. And
yes, it is.
You know, we're talking about shifting the paradigm, so we need a new model.
And then tying it back to the mean girl thing. How do you have an office where you have 20 women working together, and one comes in at 10, one slides out at 2, and you're going, well, where are they going? What are they doing? Right? Like that's in our head already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I hadn't thought of that. But now it's in my head. Wait a minute. I just be like, if you are hitting a patio without me, we're gonna problem sister. I'm gonna take you to the bike rack 3 o'clock.
And I didn't. What's going on?
Anyway, I'll post a few articles about it online, and like I said, we'll talk about it more when I read the book, and I'll pass it on to you to read because it seems really interesting, and seems hopeful.
Yeah.
Like finally an appreciation or just an acknowledgement that different genders bring different things to the table. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other.
That's right.
Yeah, isn't that
I
pretty
totally agree with that.
Playground logic, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody's better than anybody
I
else.
can't
We're teaching
wait.
our kids that, but we don't live in a workforce like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I know it'll be interesting to see, you know, when Maddie's 16 years from now. Well,
jeez.
I don't want to rush that.
Yeah, let's not rush it.
How old will we be in 16 years?
Oh, my. Oh, 48.
Yeah.
I don't, Maddie, this week has, my mummy mom, and Maddie has taken over my kitchen now.
Oh.
Yeah, so, when we go upstairs, later, you will see all my tools for the kitchen, like flippers and whatever, and then you will see an entire Hello Kitty set. And they're tiny and ineffectual. And we use them to do muffins and eggs. And anyway, so she's developed an interest in the kitchen. The only problem is we make a lot of stuff. I need to come up with a system for this. We make a lot of stuff because she loves to work with eggs. And then she doesn't eat them. Oh. So we'll make these like egg dishes, and then she won't eat them.
And neither will you, because
well, I'll eat them, but I don't want 6,000 cracked eggs. So I need to find a way. I've been thinking about this with her, like leftovers of anything. I need to find a way to teach her that some other child would just kill for that food.
Yeah.
I need to teach her appreciation, you know, and I need to not give in to serving everything, you know, not everything, but. You know, on the weekends I'll be like, okay, we'll do eggs because it's fun and you like to play with eggs and whatever. But I have to teach her that, you know, it's a waste of food. I have to... Yeah. 4 is a hard age to get that concept through, but I bet you there is a way, so...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
There's always a way.
There's always a way. So, do you have any confounding words
I do.
For me?
I have a word for you, my friend.
Oh, no.
I always have a word. I always have one. So, Jacqueline...
Monica.
Are you ready for this word?
I was born ready. To quote your bumper sticker.
Cacophony.
Oh.
You know?
Spell it.
Cacophony.
Ony. Is it a verb? Cacophony.
Cacophony. Why did I say it like that?
I don't know, because this is how I don't get half the words.
Cacophony.
A cacophony.
Yeah.
Of sound. Oh, speaking of sound, there's our knife guy driving by with the old bells on his truck.
Interesting, is it?
You would know the ice cream guy, because he comes by with bells
so
too,
weird.
and he comes by at dinner time.
Okay,
Yeah.
use it in a sentence. Either knife guy or
every time someone is driving down our street to sell a sharpening service or ice cream and sugar our kids don't need, there is a cacophony of noise that draws everyone to the front door.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We did it! So, how did I pronounce it? I'm going to say it.
Cacophony. I don't know what you said.
What did I say?
I don't know how you said it. We're gonna
I'm distracted by the
We'll have to hit
cacophony
rewind on the tape cassette.
Yeah. Okay, so my sentence was, the other night I made us a beautiful steak dinner. I was so irritated by the cacophony as my husband's knife scraped the plate.
Ah.
Okay, so we know what that means. And by the way, it entered the English language in the mid-1600s. This is an oldie but a goodie.
Another retro
Cacophony. That's
cacophony.
What I said.
Cacophony. I wonder how many
Cacophony.
words I would have gotten correct in the past couple of months had you.
I think that could be part of the thing. I'm just going to always phonetically incorrect.
Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. Well, that was a fun session, and great that we started that off with some female bacon. Okay, so what do we think? Like next week, I should pick up some more?
Yeah. All right. I think it's definite.
Female bacon, wine, and podcasts.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to just put this out to our listeners. If anyone is familiar with womenomics or has read the book, we'd love to hear from you. Also, the mean girl thing. Any tips on dealing with a mean girl in the workforce? Because we've talked about what it is, what it's like, but I'm always looking for tips because inevitably I will end up in that environment at some point or another, given the career trajectory that I'm on. So, and as always, if you have any great images that you think that we'd love to see, or our listeners would, please hashtag them, drinks@six.com. So hashtag, and we'll see them on Instagram. They'll appear immediately on our podcast page. So look for us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and drinks@six.com. And send us in any comments. We've covered off a few topics from some of our listeners, and we really want to thank them for their input. And thank you so much for the kind compliments. We're really glad you guys are listening, enjoying your wine, and writing into us to let us know what's going on and how we're doing. So, Monica, till next week.
Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
Here's to back bacon.
Thanks for listening to Drinks at 6.